Hi, you're watching India Today Global with me, Ishita Mitra, and this is Crossfire, the show that dives into the heart of global conflicts, where nations collide, alliances shift, and lives hang in the balance. On tonight's show, we'll tell you how Ukraine celebrated the most darkest Christmas in its modern history. This comes as 170 missiles and drones reportedly targeted key Ukrainian cities, destroying the country's major power grids. Also on the show, we tell you how Netanyahu may be bluffing the world by stalling a ceasefire deal as he waits for Donald Trump to take office and make political gains. Stay tuned as we break down these critical developments and explore their impact on the future of global power and security. Christmas, meant for joy and togetherness, became a nightmare in Ukraine. Russia unleashed a massive assault with over 70 missiles and 100 drones, targeting Ukrainian cities like Kyiv and Dnipro. Homes were destroyed, celebrations called off, and Ukraine's fragile energy grid left thousands in freezing darkness. So as the nation witnessed its darkest Christmas, one question looms: how much longer can Ukraine endure this relentless war? Our next report decodes it for you.
This Christmas was supposed to be a time of joy, celebration, and togetherness. But in Ukraine, it turned into a nightmare. Just as families gathered around the candlelit tables in war-torn homes, Russia unleashed one of the most brutal attacks. A massive assault that left cities in ruins, thousands in darkness, and a nation questioning if peace will ever come. It started early on Christmas Day, a day meant for peace. Russian forces launched an all-out assault with over 70 missiles and more than 100 drones. Their targets: Ukraine's major cities, Kyiv, Kharkiv, and Dnipro, homes, hospitals, and perhaps most devastatingly, the country's fragile energy grid. In the capital Kyiv, the air raid sirens blared as families scrambled to bomb shelters. Residents who ventured out later found their streets littered with debris, shattered glass, and the remnants of a holiday season stolen by war. But the devastation didn't stop there. In Kharkiv, missile strikes gutted residential buildings, leaving families to pick through the rubble of what was once their lives. In Dnipro, the attack claimed lives and destroyed critical infrastructure. One of the most strategic blows was to Ukraine's energy grid, a system already on life support after months of war. Thermal power plants were struck and entire regions plunged into darkness. Sub-zero temperatures, combined with the loss of power, left millions without heating, water, or even the flicker of Christmas lights. Towns like Odessa and parts of Kyiv bore the brunt, with officials calling this the darkest Christmas in Ukraine's modern history. This assault wasn't just about energy or territory. It was a brutal reminder of Russia's willingness to attack even on sacred days. International leaders have called the strike a blatant violation of international law. The deliberate targeting of civilians during Christmas has only deepened global condemnation of Moscow's tactics. Yet, amid this darkness, Ukraine's resilience shines. Emergency workers braved the freezing cold to restore what little power they could. Volunteers handed out blankets, food, and supplies to those in need. As the year draws to a close, this bloody Christmas is a stark reminder of the human cost of war. It's a chilling testament to the lengths Russia will go to exert its will and poignant symbol of Ukraine's unwavering spirit.
The battle lines of the future are being drawn, not on land or at sea, but in outer space. At the center of growing global concern is Cosmos 2553, a Russian satellite launched during the Ukrainian invasion in 2022. Now, officially, it's a technological experiment, but its secretive trajectory in a so-called graveyard orbit has sparked fears of a weapon capable of crippling satellites and electronics worldwide. Now, Russia says it's harmless, but US intelligence isn't so sure. So is Cosmos 2553 a peaceful mission or the beginning of a space warfare? Our next report tells you more.
The battle lines of the future are being drawn, not on land, not at sea, but high above us in the vast, uncharted domain of outer space. A chilling mystery has got the world leaders scrambling, and experts asking one terrifying question: is Russia preparing for a space warfare? One satellite, Cosmos 2553, is at the center of this global storm. February 2022, a date that marked the start of a new chapter in geopolitical tension, as Russian tanks rolled into Ukraine. Thousands of miles above, a seemingly innocuous satellite entered orbit. Cosmos 2553. Officially, it was described as a technological experiment, but its real mission remains shrouded in mystery. What makes Cosmos 2553 so unnerving isn't just its timing, but its trajectory. Parked in the so-called graveyard orbit, a desolate region typically reserved for junk satellites, this craft is anything but dead. In fact, it's been actively maneuvering in ways that have US intelligence agencies on high alert. According to intelligence reports, Cosmos 2553 could be a prototype for a new breed of space-based weapons. Experts warn it might even carry the capability to detonate a nuclear device, one that wouldn't target cities, but could unleash an electromagnetic pulse, or EMP, crippling every satellite and electronic system in its path. According to media reports, US officials believe the satellite is testing components for a Russian space weapon, and US Space Command is monitoring it daily for signs of threat. Russian officials claim Cosmos 2553 is harmless, a scientific tool to study radiation resistance. But military analysts argue it could be carrying a mock warhead, testing the waters for something far more dangerous. Now, space isn't just about exploration anymore. It's the backbone of our daily lives. Banking, navigation, communication, even national defense all depend on the satellites circling above us. One strike and it all collapses. So what happens next? Will the world act to prevent a cosmic catastrophe? Or are we hurtling towards a future where the first strike isn't on Earth, but in the skies above?
Peace talks in Gaza show promise, but Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is accused of stalling it. Insiders claim that he is using the ceasefire negotiations as a smokescreen, and this to buy time and gain leverage before President-elect Donald Trump takes office. Now, while Hamas has agreed to face terms, Netanyahu refuses a full ceasefire, offering only temporary pauses. So is Netanyahu delaying a crucial ceasefire in Gaza for political gains? Our next report tells you more.
Is Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu delaying a crucial ceasefire in Gaza? While peace talks offer a glimmer of hope, insiders accuse Netanyahu of using negotiations as a smokescreen to buy time and gain leverage. The ceasefire talks, backed by outgoing US President Joe Biden's proposal, have made significant progress. Hamas has shown flexibility, agreeing to phased terms that include prisoner swaps, troop withdrawals, and humanitarian relief. But Netanyahu reportedly refuses to commit to a full ceasefire, instead offering only temporary pauses. Diplomats involved in the talks accused Netanyahu of playing a dangerous game. According to the New Arab, insiders accused Netanyahu of deliberately stalling the ceasefire talks until President-elect Donald Trump takes office. The Israeli PM is reportedly using negotiations as a facade to appease US and international pressure. So, what can be the endgame here? Many suggest Netanyahu might be holding out for bigger political rewards, like annexing parts of West Bank or securing normalization deals with Saudi Arabia. Senior officials involved in the talks describe a cycle of optimism and setbacks. CIA chief Will Burns, a key mediator, left Doha abruptly last week after failing to secure meaningful progress. Israeli media outlets now warn that a deal may take weeks, not days, to finalize. The timeline for troop withdrawals from critical zones in Gaza, disengagements over the exchange of prisoners, and the management of Gaza's Rafah border crossing post-ceasefire. So, where do we stand? On one hand, we have a framework for peace, fragile but possible. On the other, we have political maneuvering that could derail it all. Is Benjamin Netanyahu genuinely committed to ending the conflict? Or is this a calculated delay to secure his political ambitions? One thing is clear: time is running out and the cost of inaction is devastating.
Well, that's all we have for you in this edition of Crossfire. Stay tuned to India Today Global, where we simplify geopolitics for you.